Hey there guys, in today's video I am going to show you how to put together a super easy foot toy. I call this one the Whirly bird because it does spin on itself just like a little toy helicopter. So this is a super easy toy to make. If you've made some of the toys that I've showed you guys in the past, you probably already have the toy parts needed to put this toy together. So if making this pretty simple but pretty fun foot toy is something you guys are interested in seeing, you want to make sure to stick around because that's going to be coming up right after this. Hey there guys, this is Jack over at Hi Red Bird, where I am tirelessly working to find new ways to make the keeping of exotic animals and pets more exciting, more affordable, and ultimately more enjoyable. And in today's video, I wanted to show you guys how to build a pretty simple but pretty fun foot toy. Now, I know a lot of people can have some confusion when it comes to things like foot toys because they don't really know what they're supposed to do. So a foot toy is a really simple thing that your bird can just pick up and manipulate using its feet. It gives your bird the opportunity to exercise its feet in ways that it may not necessarily have the most options for living in a cage environment, living in a home environment. We want to make sure that we exercise our birds' feet so they don't develop foot problems, so they don't develop pododermatitis or bumblefoot, which can be pretty common in companion parrots. Anyone who's had a parrot has seen just how much they use their feet, so it's really, really important. So when putting together any kind of foot toy, one of the things that I try to encourage people to do is think about what that toy is going to be used for. What is the function of it? And especially with a foot toy, the best way I've thought of to describe this or to help you guys come up with a plan, if anybody remembers the Bop It game that came out a little while ago, it's basically a toy that had a bunch of different things on it, and it would tell you different things to do. Bop it, spin it, flick it, slide it. All of those were options. That's what you need to think of in terms of your foot toy. It needs to accomplish at least one of those things. Is your bird going to, is there a bead that has a little bit of spring to it that your bird can move with its foot and its beak? Obviously on this one, this is a spin it toy. This moves around freely. So that's what I'm hoping to accomplish with this. So just think about how you are using your toy and what your goal is when you're putting it together. Now, I do want to tell you guys right now, I tell you guys every time we make any kind of toy, you need to use your best judgment on if the toy parts that we are using are going to be appropriate for the animal you are making it for. And obviously there are ways to modify all kinds of toys. So even if you know for a fact that this toy itself isn't going to be something that you could make, you could obviously make a variation of this. Now I'm making this out of bamboo finger traps, a wooden bead, and some cable ties. So this is going to be great for some small to medium-sized parrots. But obviously if you wanted to make this out of PVC pipe and stainless steel hardware, you could make this for a much bigger animal. So it's completely up to you guys. Again, just observe your animals, watch them as they're interacting with new things. That way you can make sure that whatever it is you are giving them is absolutely safe. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into how we're going to be putting this toy together, because it's super simple. All right, guys, now building this is going to be relatively straightforward. You're just going to need a handful of items. The first thing you're going to need is going to be some bamboo finger traps. I am using 2 of them, and I am using the same color, but you could always use 2 in different colors. Play around with whatever you like. You're also going to need a wooden bead. You are going to need some cable ties or zip ties. Now, a couple things to take into consideration. If you know your bird cannot have cable ties or zip ties, you can, of course, replace them with something like a piece of bird-safe rope. That's going to be a great option. There's a couple of things you want to keep in mind. Whatever you are using to secure this, you are going to want to make sure that it can pass easily through your bead. You're going to want to make sure that you can get it to pass through your finger traps as well. That's why I like the cable ties, particularly for this project. The rigidity of the zip tie means that it's going to pass through those really easily. Threading the rope through there is not impossible, but it is going to make it a little bit trickier. And then, of course, you are also going to need a pair of wire cutters or something else to just trim down the tails on those cable ties. So putting this thing together is incredibly simple. We're going to start with one of the finger traps. We're going to try to identify as close as possible the center. And usually if you play around with pushing it together, pulling it out, you can get the right amount of slack to fit a cable tie in there very, very nicely. You want it to try to pass as close to straight through as you can. So I'm going to have that. Now you can see that this, the locking mechanism of the cable tie is too thick to pass through the cable, or through the finger trap. So now I'm going to use a bead, and I'm just using that as a spacer in between the two finger traps. Now you can see I went for coordinating colors because I like to pretend that my birds care about things like that. If your birds don't, if you have a different color scheme you're going for, or if you're just using up scrap parts, use whatever you have. It'll work just fine. Now the same thing, we're going to try to identify the center as best we can. And you're going to have a couple of options. Take a look, spin it around and see where do you have the best openings on either side that'll make it easy for you to pass this cable tie through. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Aim for good enough, close enough. I mean, obviously, if you took this finger trap and threaded it, all the way over here, so that you had one that was massively off center, this is going to work just fine. It is going to be a little bit weaker here at the edge, so I like to do the very center. But if you're not quite centered, I just wanted to show you guys, it isn't the end of the world. Your bird will be fine with it. So we've got two finger traps, we've got a bead in between. Now we are going to take our second cable tie, and you want to try to line it up. So basically follow it around. If it was looping back on itself, take the second cable tie and just use it to lock the first one into place. You should hear that clicking sound. That lets you know that you are on the right path. Now you want to get it, reasonably tight. You don't want to ratchet it down as far as it's going to go, because then your toy isn't going to spin. But all we're going to do then is we're going to take our wire cutters and we're just going to trim the tails of those cable ties flush. Now you can see that leaves us this toy right here, which both of these pieces will twist freely. So that's a really easy, really simple foot toy that you guys can put together. All right, guys, and that really is all there is to doing this super simple foot toy. So I certainly hope you found that video helpful, instructional. If you guys like these kind of videos, go ahead, give me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because there's a ton of educational content coming out, several videos a week, so you definitely don't want to miss out on any of that. It helps me know what type of information you guys like seeing. So also, leave a comment down in the comment section if you like foot toys, if you want to see more foot toys, or if there are any other types of toys you would like to see. Just go ahead and let me know, because I would be glad to put some more videos together for you guys, specifically with what you guys want. I do want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, as always, and I hope to see you next time. All right, I do need to say thank you to my Patreon patrons for helping to make these videos possible. You can find out more by visiting Hi Red Bird on Patreon or clicking the link in the description section down below if you would like more information. Thanks!